Welcome back, everyone, and I hope you enjoyed your break and maybe even your lunch. As you know, EIT Health Catapult accelerates startups and presents the best business cases and business concepts to leading experts and international investors. Let's take a closer look at some of our participants in the biotech category. We've made a video to introduce them to you.
Let me give you a number, 250 million. 250 million is all the people older than 50 years living in Europe, and is these people with no clinical signs the mid-risk population to suffer colorectal cancer, which is the second leading cancer in incidence and mortality over the world. The best way are organized screening programs. Unfortunately, the most used techniques in these programs are still invasive or inefficient. They detect, but they don't prevent. But in Good Gut, we have been able to design a non-invasive test which is able to detect cancer before having clinical signs. BrightCRC is a patented and validated test which detects the specific bacterial signature of colorectal cancer in fecal samples and through qPCR. It's the only way to save the life of these potential cancer patients.
At Lineo Bio, we believe
every person should have
the opportunity
to live a healthy and productive life.
We disrupt the way proteins for drugs and food are made, because today's mostly cell-based systems are too slow and costly. With our cell-free technology Alice, protein expression is fast, simple, and flexible. Alice uses only what is needed, the protein production machinery of the plant cell. You just add the protein DNA to the lysate, and after a simple reaction of 24 hours, you have your protein of choice. So what makes Alice unique? Compared to cell-based systems, Alice is much faster and very efficient. Optimization outside the cell increases yields in no time. Compared to other cell-free systems, Alice is scalable and capable in producing difficult proteins. For our ambitious scaling goal and further development activities, we plan a Series B round next year. We disrupt the way proteins are made in high-value markets. Contact us to learn more.
Welcome at Medesia, located at the Institut Imagine, the admiral vessel for genetic disease research at the Necker-Sick Children's Hospital in Paris. Our company, Medesia, is focused on severe pediatric renal deficiency due to the loss of cell cilia.
For 2 years, we have created a drug discovery platform that uses high-content microscopy and patient-derived cells. Using this platform, we identify one compound that is capable of reversing the cilia malfunction both in vitro and in mice models. The compound is called NDT-110.
Medesia secured 2.7 million euros to complete the MedChem program using innovative artificial intelligence and to co-lead a clinical consortium named RHU. For the patients suffering from ciliopathies, we are seeking 6 million euros to enter clinical phase here at the Institut Imagine in 2024. Within the 3 years, we will explore additional cilia-related end-stage renal disease and inherited progressive blindness to reinforce the position of ciliopathies of Medesia.
At CQO, our mission is to develop a chemotherapy selective for tumors and safe for patients.
Yes, and it's wonderful to see what amazing innovations are being developed here in Europe. We're going to meet these 4 companies for a panel discussion that will be moderated by Florence Alouche. I would love to hand over to her now. Go ahead, Florence.
Thank you, and thank you for these videos. This European competition is very unique and will give you a huge position in the landscape for investors. I have some key questions regarding your company. So to Mariana Serra, the CEO of GoodCut, which will be the impact of introducing red CRC in colorectal screening programs?
It will reduce the 28% of unnecessary colonoscopies. That means, for example, in a country such as UK, a direct saving just in colonoscopies up to 66 million per year.
Great. So we skip and then move to Uri Shedboun, the CEO of Sikyo. So why Sikyo Smart Chemotherapy is so selective in targeting solid tumors?
Hi, good afternoon, Florence. Our lead compound, Sky1, is using specificity induced by the tumor, the solid tumor itself. Sky1 accumulates into the tumor microenvironment only and is activated in the tumor microenvironment only. And this double targeting makes the unique specificity for Sky1 to be selective and very efficient in pancreas cancer and breast triple negative.
Thank you. So now I have a question to Franziska Finke, CEO of Linio Bio. What is innovative about technology and what makes it so disruptive? Maybe on IP, or do you explain?
Yeah, thanks. So with our technology, we mainly target the long development cycles for drugs that are based on proteins. And we developed this proprietary cell-free system called ALICE that allows easy optimization outside of the cell and produces constantly high yields. And that makes the drug development much faster compared to cell-based systems. And it is further capable in producing difficult proteins, which you can usually not really extract in cells. And what makes it really disruptive is that until now, cell-free systems are used in research only because they could not scale yet an eukaryotic cell-free system. And what is disruptive about ALICE is really that we will scale the platform to industrial size, and then a plant-based cell-free system with all of its advantages will be available on the market to be used throughout the whole development process from screening to production. And yes, we have a strong IP position because the technology is patented by Dow DuPont, or now Corteva AgriScience, and we held an exclusive license to market and develop the platform.
Yeah, thank you. So amazing. I know that each company has this strong IP position, but especially I asked you. So now we move to Jean-Philippe Anreau, the CEO of Meditia. So could you explain how is the loss of NPHP1 in the renal hair cells related to the loss of the receptors? What is the link?
Yes, thank you very much, Florence. This is not obvious link, but when you see the science, that becomes more clear. Actually, the NPHP1 gene is a very important entourage protein for the cilia in the kidney, but also it drives the formation of the cilia of the photoreceptor. So with no NPHP1, there is no formation of the cilia, and the light cannot exit this photoreceptor. So that's the reason why 25% of those patients suffering from NPHP1 have also a loss of the retina.
Thank you. So inherited retinal diseases, this is a huge world of questions, and you provide some answers. Thank you. So maybe we can move to another round of questions. Do we have questions from the audience? So we can ask more questions to our panel. So I will ask to Franziska again, what are your next steps going forward?
Yeah, so our short-term focus is really to present the proof of concept for the scaling of the technology. And we are currently working on our pilot production line for the production of the cell-free lysate for 10-liter scale, and that will be finalized end of next year. And in parallel, we really start to optimize the platform for different applications, because there's a variety of applications that you can use it for. And we will introduce ALICE as a pandemic preparedness platform, because we see right now how crucial it is to be fast in developing vaccines and drugs. And secondly, we will focus on the development and scaling of alternative proteins that are needed in the food and cosmetic industry. As a first step, we will introduce growth factors made in ALICE that are, for instance, used in the cultured meat production. And yeah, for that, we really plan a Series B round next year, amounting to 10 to 15 million. And yeah, if that sounds as an opportunity for the investors in the audience today, we are happy to connect.
Okay, thank you. And so, Mariona, from your side, what is your value proposition and of your product? And maybe first in front of the competitors, and then what are also your next steps or are you looking for?
Thank you. So our competitors, they present a product that the price is over 100 euro, all of them. And there's two clear strategies. The ones that they bet to increase the early detection, and the ones that they bet to reduce the false positive of the FIT, fecal immunochemical alcohol blood test screening. We can do both at the same time and being cost effective. And that's why, because we are the only one using a specific bacterial signature for colorectal cancer. And so our next steps is to do the prototype validation and register the test as a product and launch it on the market, mainly focus on Europe and in China. That's why we are looking for 5 million, and that will help us to launch this product on the market.
Oh, thank you. So I'm very happy to have a panel of all the hot topics in biotech now. So Uri, could you tell us what have you achieved so far, and what are the next steps too for the company?
Well, we're very proud by the results we've got. We've got a very powerful data based on the tox, pharmacokinetics, efficacy, and also PDX model on pancreas and breast cancer, which are very hot topics at the moment, and for which there's limited therapy today, I would say, on the market. So every single steps are codified. Next step for us is to go to the GMP production before reaching the clinical phase. So I'm here actually to raise 13 million to go to the end of the phase 2, which is an inflection point, and we will license that to potential pharma partners. But at the same time, we're also developing Sky 2.
Okay, thank you. Jean-Philippe, your turn. So first I have a first question about the genetic mutation that appears in older patients. So some words about this and also your next steps.
Sure, thank you very much. So this question is linked to the next step. We had the chance to figure out that this mutation, which is at the basis a mutation for rare diseases, is way much broader than we expected the first time. So to prove it, what we did, since it is a renal alteration, we look at the other side. We look at the side of the end-stage renal disease patient at the age advanced, and for the end-stage renal diseases with no cause, like toxicological cause, we seek for the mutation NPHP1, and we figure out that this 1% of those patients are homozygous for this deletion. So this means that it's a complete game changer in terms of medical need. And in terms of perspective, of course, we are asking this 6 million euro, of course, to run the program on rare disease approach, but also to investigate what could be a broader application in this massive need of the end-stage renal disease.
Thank you. Thank you very much, because it's very clear. And it was at the place of the investors in the panel, in the audience, wherever they are. I will be very interesting, because you presented some technology, high-tech technology, very interesting regarding the markets and the needs. And you just presented what are your needs. So now we just wait for answers and emails from them to your companies, because you are in the middle of the raising next series. So now I don't know if we have some questions from the audience and the public that are connected to this final now. So Amori. If we still have the floor, so as a pharmacist, I have a question to all of you. How the patients are involved in your development strategy? I mean, at what level of your development of your project are you involving the patients? Because we know now that we are all working to solve questions and to provide new treatments to patients. This is our driver. So how do you do?
Happy to
you have the floor, Ori, please.
happy to answer that. Well, the thing is, when you develop the drugs, such the drug that we are developing in pancreas and breast cancer, you need to have models. And if we look at another model, which is called PDX, and by the essence, he used a tumor of real patients. So we use a real patient tumor that we injected in the mice. So it doesn't really answer the question, but at this very point, the patient is already involved. However, when you develop, again, a drug, you have to think about what is the end user needs. It could be the patient, of course, but it's also the practitioner, the physicians. He needs to have something ready to, not too expensive, something which he knows and he can control the toxicity, the concentration, whatever he needs. So every day we involve the physician. So we have people who tell us what the patient is looking for, what would be the kind of adverse effect we want absolutely to avoid. So he put us a list of to-do list actually, and that is included in a clinical plan, but even before, that also included in the preclinical plan. So at one point, the patient is the end user and we think of him every day. We involve him almost every day.
Thank you. What about you, Francisca?
Well, Lenio Bio develops more the enabler for protein-based drugs. So patient or clinical trials with patients are right now not really the focus. We will develop, as I mentioned, Alice as a pandemic preparedness platform, so really focusing on vaccines, and we'll go into the first studies with 3 targets that we chose already, but including patients is not in our midterm timeline. And then when it comes to other applications, as I mentioned, the cultured meat business, you can maybe see Lenio Bio more as one of the groups and enablers to really push that technology forward and maybe make sure that we don't have too many patients suffering from related diseases because of the way we produce meat, for instance, today. So that is far away for us right now because we are more in a enabling business, so to say, with our platform.
Okay, thank you. And Jean-Philippe, you are in the middle, in the heart of a hospital, and in EHU, which is the fleuron of the research in France. So could you tell us?
Thank you, Florence. Yes, the patient is involved right at the beginning in the screening methodology because we are collecting the cells from the patient, from the urine. That's very, very unique. So we are able to test our molecule, to test the ability to restore the cilia on the cell from the urine of the patient. So that's the first thing. And the second thing, this is linked to the rare disease. Rare disease, the main challenge is to know how the patient is evaluating and what would be the change that we will provide with the drug. So the natural history, this is a very important factor. So we have the chance to be located at the Institute Imagine with the clinicians involved in the reference center of the patients, but also involved in the diagnosis of these patients. So it's a very powerful tool for us to understand what is the natural history of those patients and how the drug will be providing a transformative effect and transformative gain for the patient.
Thank you. And Mariona, what about Spain? What are your
Yes, we also have involved it in our development of the product. We have it through the clinical studies, and also we are running like a market test with the product as a service in order to have all the feedback and the user experience in order to define the perfect product for these patients.
Okay. And what about the empowerment of the patients advocacy groups? Maybe you're not developing products, especially in orphan markets, but do you work in your companies, or do you have, objectives or goals to include also the patient advocacy groups are still embarked in your project? Who want to ask?
Short answer to that. Yeah, short answer. It's of course the compassionate program, the ability to treat very early a patient in the progress of the drugs itself is something that we are considering. The other option is really, I mean, the group of patients who have power, who wants to really push, are very important. For example, every day, almost every day, I receive email from patients or from relatives of parents who's got pancreas cancer, very difficult cancer to treat. And every day they ask me, where are you? Can we are enrolled into your clinical trial? I'm afraid I have to answer. It's a codified and step-by-step. I cannot treat today because I'm too early in my program. But if you are around me and if you can help us in finding the right money, everything behind, I have everything ready in my back just to go straightforward.
Thank you. And to conclude, I just have a question about this competition. This is a unique European startup competition. And what are, in one word, each of you, what are you waiting after this competition? Because you prepared a lot, you challenged with other company. It was very selective to reach this level of the competition. So in one word, your conclusion, what do you learn or prospect? Yeah, Jean-Philippe.
In one word, what we expect is to bring to the table a new medical domain, which is actually all the pathology linked to ciliopathy. And we are very convinced that today we are progressing in the understanding of this domain, new medical domain about celiac diseases. And we would like to be more strong on that. And this is the reason why we are calling for this investment for those patients.
Thank you. What about you, Franziska?
I think the main advantage coming along with this EIT Health Catapult is really the visibility that you gain, and we experienced that already. Investors and potential customers are coming to us, and from that perspective, that was really a great challenge and a great journey also.
Thank you, Mariona.
Yeah, I think for us the word is a push. Because it's a pleasure being around with these top level startups and also stakeholders that we know that is here. And I think that with all these pieces of the puzzle, we will have the push to get this product on the market. Yeah.
Thank you. To conclude, Uri.
Well, thank you for that pleasure. One word, partner. I'm looking for partners who will be able to help us going on the way toward the patients.
Okay, thank you. So I think that we'll achieve this goal, just presenting and to push you in the landscape, because this is a European competition, but you are in international competition. So we have to be strong in Europe. And thanks to really the organizers of the EIT Health competition and Catapult, I was the winner. I was very happy to win this competition last year in the biotech category. And it opens me a lot of doors, contacts, and also how to present to investors. And it's very important to reach what they want to hear about you and what are your promises for them. So thank you very much to all of you for this participation to this roundtable. I hope that the audience had the answer to all their questions. And I think now we have to move to Amaury online, maybe
Yes.
with the public.
I am here, yes. Wonderful to hear your conversation as well. And thank you for joining all. I have a question here that's specifically directed for Mariona. And the question is, the background of your research could help influence gut microbiota to treat CRC. Are you considering developing such products? And of course, I'm also interested to know what exactly CRC is.
Yes, CRC is colorectal cancer, and for sure, I mean, so we have identified which is the profile of these patients that are about to develop colorectal cancer, and for sure, with the treatment that can address this balance of bacteria, we can help to treat cancer, and for sure, we were like as a next step. After having this diagnostic test, to have a treatment complement to the diagnostic test, for sure.
Okay, so that's a very positive answer. You could. Let's move on to the second question, and that's directed at Medisha. And the question is, €70,000 per patient per year price of such a treatment for the renal orphan disease. Is that a realistic option?
Yeah, thank you. That's an extraordinary question. We have experienced some research in rare disease at Alexion, and what we learned from this experience is that if you can provide a transformative treatment for patients, there is a huge justification for the high price, especially with this orphan drug and also first in market. And at the top of that, if you provide a significant and transformative benefit for the patient. For instance, saving children from graft transplantation or daily dialysis, which is a huge progress, and also for the blindness. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Final question for now, and I think that's for all of you. What exactly is the role of the patients in your development? Can you say anything about that? Who would like to take that one first?
Well, happy to get started with that. Well, the patient for every, I can answer on behalf of everyone today. The patient is the goal. We are doing that, well, to answer a question, to answer a need. And usually we call it unmet medical needs. So the patient is really the endpoints that we would like to achieve and to make sure that we bring them what is the most efficient in terms of treatment, in terms of, in our case, in cancer, to reduce adverse effects, in terms of also sometime before, in diagnostic, in finding before it's too late, well, what is the disease and whether we can cure it before it's too late. And again, for pancreas, it's very true.
You all agree with this or want to add something?
No, we agree. For us, it's the same, having in first place, for sure.
Wonderful. Okay, thank you so much for this conversation. Enjoy the rest of the show.